Hello YouTube, Ronan Kazi. More legendary content. The Summit. So last night I did my second live. It went a lot better. I was doing the live with Sloth Moods and Grenade. Actually did it with Grenade and Sloth Mood. Grenade jumped in early, and I was interested in doing the legendary Lost Sexters or whatever it's called in Destiny 2. Those guys got me all hyped up. Ultimate Shield, Grin, and Sloth are all doing these, so I wanted to do one. So I had fun doing that. And in the middle of that, one thing, when I watch some of my fellow YouTubers' videos, I expect them to talk all the way through. Because I care about what they have to say. I understand in the game it's this, that, or the third maybe, but I want to know more about them, and I'm interested. And so that's what I was sharing with Grin, different ideas for her to talk more. While I was doing it, I kind of felt like maybe I was pushing her a little bit, but then when I listened to it again, I wasn't so worried. I'm trying to help her. I'm a person that's going to say how things are, and then I'm going to ask why a lot. And when people say they don't know, it's one of two things. They don't feel safe saying what the reason is, and that's okay, or they haven't even thought about it. And all that's okay in a sense, but we want to hear what you think. I think they call that authenticity, I guess, that we want to hear. So I like these people, I like their videos, and I care about them in the sense that they're my friends, and I want to understand what they think. I want to get to know them better. So if you see that live video, it's my second live video, the Destiny 2 one, you'll get some of that kind of stuff in there. So today I'm trying to do some content because I have an idea for some content, something I'd like to do, because there's these two worlds. There's a Division and Destiny 2. So I'm trying to get some footage here in the Division, and I played all morning. I played 2 hours and nothing really inspirational happened. The other day I'd played with this person. I can't read it because I'm old. But he's the group leader, and he invited me a little bit later in the day, and so we started doing this legendary summit. Started on floor 14. As you know, in the summit, there's 2 sections to every floor, and we wiped a lot. And there's no reason for us to wipe other than we shouldn't be wiping. Playing carelessly, overextending, a bunch of different things. So the run you're seeing now is when we finally got it together, and then we just go all the way to floor 20, and we're going to fight the boss. Normally, I would have teased that a little bit and then said, hey, I don't know what's going to happen, and I would ask you to subscribe. Okay, there's drama going on here in the room. Pink is under a bed, and Roxy is hidden under a bed chewing a bone, and Caesar and Macy are trying to get in on Pink. So they're both trying to get down real low and look at Pink underneath the bed. So that's that drama. And so in a legendary, what happens is there's just a certain way to play. It's not my way. I didn't invent it. It's just a cautious way to play. What happened kind of up here, you can see that Chunga either came up or is going to come up, and that pushed us pretty far. So at this point, we haven't really folded yet after the initial run, and so we're trying to keep it together. There's a good blend of skills You can see the second player in there, he became our healer. So he, again, I can't emphasize this enough to folks that are going to be in a legendary in your lower watch level. If you could heal, that'd be great. I can't tell you how great that is. I went on later and played some other legendaries, and I was with a person that he wasn't a Vile Jammer build, but then he saw me using it, so he put it on, and then he'd undercut me. Like, it makes no sense doing that. He was probably as fast as me. This is like 12.5 seconds, so maybe he was 12 seconds. So he would just keep doing it, but he had no status effects, so he doesn't do any damage. So that was kind of frustrating. So I'll just do something else. I don't have to do Vile Jammer. But the point is, when you're in a group and you're in a slot, you got to do what's in that slot. And I'm going to reference back to something I was telling Grin. Here's the first thing. Everyone can say they just want to play the game how they want to play the game. And that's fine. The problem is when you play with other people, they're expecting that you're going to do some type of thing that's along close to the meta. And you don't want to be in a guild. I've been in a guild before where they wanted me. I was in a World of Warcraft guild, and I was a shaman, and I preferred to heal, and all my builds were for heal, but they wanted me to be a ranged DPS. And that's hard on a shaman because, you have to be moving, you have to get stationary to do it. You have a skill that every once in a while, every 20 seconds out of 3 minutes, that you can cast spells while you're moving. It's just a hard kind of way to go. So I understand when people don't want to be put into a slot. But you've got to understand that the pieces of your kit are designed for certain things. And I'm going to point at myself in this, because here's a fault in what I do. If you use Memento, unless you're the main damage dealer, if you use Memento, that's more of like a solo backpack, because you're going to guarantee yourself to get all those kills. So you're going to get all the benefit. You're going to reap all the benefit. If you're in a group and doing that, and you're trying to always get the kills, you're probably going to press more, unless you're super high powered. You're going to press more and you're going to die more, and all because you have a build that's not for what the group needs. And the group needs group bonuses and effects. So a YouTuber, Sloth, has told me, several times, opportunistic is a good piece to have on a backpack, because if you use a shotgun, which I use, the Scorpio, it maybe default to that to do some crowd control. That also puts a debuff on the enemy for, if it's perfectly opportunistic, is 12%, but a 10% damage for everyone that hits that target. And so that's the kind of piece you should have on a backpack before maybe something like Perfect Shock and Awe. Perfect Shock and Awe gives my DPS build, it gives me 20% more, but it doesn't give the group more benefit. And so we talked about different builds, and there's some build sets that are procced off a critical. If you have a build set that needs criticals, then you should use a submachine gun. I don't care if you don't want to use a submachine gun. That's what's going to proc the most of that build. You got to use a submachine gun. Conversely, if you're going to be a sniper, everyone's going to kind of expect that you're going to do headshots and that you're going to build for headshots. Now, what I'd like to do, Ronan Kazi, would like to do a build where I'm using my pistol to do headshots. So if I go in the group, what am I getting the most damage? Am I doing the most? No. See, I'm not. And I make it harder for the group to do things. And you might say that's just tough. You should play the game how you want. And what I've done sometimes, I've been in groups and we've been in a legendary and I've been trying to build and it doesn't go good. And then I go back to my Vile Jammer where I can guarantee that we're going to get through or advance or do whatever. And the people are going in a legendary to get an exotic more than likely, usually. If you go to Manning and Title Base and you're just a glutton for punishment, which I am too. But you'd still like to finish it. So I think it's just incumbent upon you in those scenarios to maybe fit yourself. And I may be wrong. That's my opinion. You know, I really think that that's important that you have that for people. So we're about halfway here. Here's what's going to happen on this floor 19. I haven't got crashed out of division in like a week or so. But when I get ready to go right here, the division just shit the bed and booted me out. It said, hey, please send an error message to us. So they did this half of the floor, and then I came back in on the other half of this floor. And that was a long fade. And they were at the elevators when I came in the next part. And I think the next floor is going to be floor 20, and then we're going to fight the boss. So we're in a legendary. I'm going to get off that other topic for a second, but we're in a legendary. So I'm looking at, so everyone in this legendary has pretty much stabilized on a build and a roll, and we've advanced since then. Sometimes when I'm in legendary, I like to keep changing my build to rotate through the 3 to see if there's anything different. Additionally, I'm always looking for people and comments and feedback on how to improve my builds or what skills to use. For example, I'm going to use blind here, but I ran with a player called Rose Fox, who when I was in Manning National Zoo with them, everything went great. We couldn't beat the boss on the first try. They put on their tank build and they just proceeded to carry us all the way. That person, Rose Fox, then said later, hey, Rona, you might want to try Demolisher. I have since used Demolisher Firefly quite a bit, and I appreciate that. If you're using builds and people see it could be better, then Ronan would like it if you told me how I could do it better. I've had some people tell me that Eclipse Protocol is better than, the build I have. And I would just ask them to play my build. And if they played my build, they'd never play Eclipse Protocol again. Because Eclipse Protocol gives you the benefit. When you kill them, it cascades the effects to everyone and spreads it. And that's great in a solo. But if you're not getting kills, it's kind of worthless. Solo, it's a good build, but it's not a good build in a group because you're not always going to get all the kills. So at this point, I'm not going to do the most damage in the group, but I am going to mark everything and keep suppressing everything. In this legendary, there's a couple of, these are just not even directives really, but there's a couple directives that make it a little bit harder, but it's nothing that you can't handle. And so if you're a YouTuber, I want to hear what you have to say about stuff. I may not like it, but it's thought-provoking. It may be your opinion. But I would say there's a couple things I've learned in business is people want to make sure that people love analysis. but they want the data to correlate. So that's if you're doing a build video comparing two different builds, how are you correlating them? That means how are you making them the same? How are you making sure almost all the variables are the same, so you're changing one or two things? That kind of video is very helpful for everyone, because then they can see, oh, when I add this piece, it makes a big difference. The default argument that you learn as a young person is, well, that's my opinion. And that's the default. So yes, we all understand that you have an opinion and that's how you want to do it. But I'd submit to you, if you want people to kind of appreciate your opinion, then you got to do some things that you might have to stretch a little bit and wonder why you do things. And I try to tell you that. I haven't told you about free will, why it's so important for free will. That's kind of the next step to the last thing, but I'll tell you what the thing is. You're responsible. So what Ronan believes is you're ultimately responsible for your actions and what you do. Do you have things that may have influenced it? Absolutely. And this is why I'm so dogged against determinism, because a lot of the people I admire in my life and in different areas have had situations that they've quote unquote overcome. And I think that's a great skill. That shows that delivered, you're dealt a deck of cards and you have to play that deck of cards, but you don't have to fold them. You try to make the best of what you got. And what I found in my life, I'm a little bit older, is that's what's helped make me successful. That's the same thing I'd want anyone I cared about to be able to do, is to be successful. All right, so did floor 20, and I was like, okay, I gotta go. I went, and I got Ronan Kazi wife food, and everything was tra-la-la, and I came back in, and this person ended up getting me in. He just got his exotic, so he's done. I was like, oh, let's just quit. But then we wiped, and we got Rogue, so we're going to fight Rogue. So this is bonus coverage for you, YouTube. So I genuinely care. I don't want people to fail because of some dumb reason. I think everyone has the capacity to be very successful in what they decide it to be, right? That's important. You have to decide your success. But you can ask me this: why am I playing a game with other people online if I only wanted to solo? Well, it's obvious I don't just want to solo. I would be playing Skyrim or something else in offline mode. So why do you play in a game with other people? Do you like the casual camaraderie? Do you like to compare yourself? Do you like to learn about different things of people? There's a myriad of reasons. So that's number one. Number two, if you're doing videos, you are absolutely trying to impart stuff onto other people, and that's okay. We want to hear about what you've got to say, because that's why we're tuning into your channel. So hopefully I make it clear on some of my things. Some of them don't, but one of them was the free will thing. That's really a prerequisite for you're responsible for your own life. There's no thing outside that is causing you to do things. And what I mean by that, like, there is no higher authority that's compelling you to play the division. That's a choice you made, and it's okay. And I understand if you can't acknowledge that you're making those choices, or if it's hard for you to voice those choices, it's okay, but you should ask yourself why. And a long time ago, I shared a troubleshooting thing, and it was about the word why. And that's kind of the fundamental part of solving problems or answering questions, is asking yourself why. You don't want to ask yourself so many whys that you get caught up into a circle where you never get out of it. But there's a certain point between 3 and 7. I picked 5. That if you ask why, you can get to some root causes for things. Now, do you have to share those with all of us on YouTube? Absolutely not. And if someone asks you why you do things, you don't have to answer them, and that's okay. That's absolutely your prerogative. But you should know the reason why you do things. And if you're playing in the game where you're talking to other people, it's like going to a bar and not wanting to talk to anyone. That's why people are going to bar. Otherwise, you could buy a six-pack and go to your house. So this is Ronan Kazi, being expressive. I want to hear what you have to say. I appreciate what you have to say. I might not always agree with it, sloth. But I really appreciate, and I appreciate someone like him who puts it in a nice, gentle way for me so I don't cry. But everyone has been super nice to me here on YouTube. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And creators, keep creating. Ronan Kazi out.